Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. How is everyone? Hope that everyone is well, preparing well for the exam, learning, enjoying your learning, isn't it? Okay, today we are going to discuss one more paper, that is paper 1, Computer Systems. This is of February, March 2024. The code, as you can see, it's 0478 /12. The duration of the paper is 1 hour 45 minutes. You have to answer on the question paper. No additional materials are needed. You have to answer all the questions and use a dark blue pen or a black pen. You may carry an HB pencil for any diagrams that you need to draw. Write your name, center number, and candidate number in the boxes at the top of the page. You have to write your answer to each question in the space that is given. Do not carry an erasable pen or correction fluid at all. Do not write on any barcodes. Calculators must not be used in the paper. The paper is of 75 marks, and the number of marks for each question or part question is given at the in the end and in brackets. Please remember that you are not going to score any mark if you are using the brand names or software packages or hardware. So refrain from writing down this as a part of your answer. Question number 1. Computers represent different types of data in binary. Tick one box to show the reason why computers use binary to represent data. Computers only allow ones and zeros to be entered. Computers are made of switches and gates that can only be on or off. Binary does not need to be converted into other forms of data to be displayed. Both computers and humans can quickly process binary data. So out of these, which one is completely incorrect? Definitely, you all can identify that part D is completely incorrect because for humans, we cannot process the data faster if it's in binary. Talking about part C, binary does not need to be converted into other forms of data. That's again something that is not acceptable. Now the choice is between A and B. Computers only allow ones and zeros to be entered, and computers are made up of switches and gates that can only be on or off. By the way, computers are only allowing ones and zeros to be entered. No, it means that is also out of question. So the only correct option is B. That is, computers are made of switches and gates that only can be turned on or off. So just simply take this one and move ahead, and you have 1 mark. But be very cautious. Read the question and then answer. Part B. One form of data is characters. The American Standard Code for Information Interchange ASCII denary number for the character N is 78. Tick one box to identify the ASCII denary number for the character Q. Now see for yourself, N is given to you. Now what you can do is after that, N, O, P, Q. N is 78, O, P, Q means 79, 80, and 81. That is why the answer for part A is the most appropriate one. All other options are definitely not correct. In 80, 79, 77, they all are incorrect. So you simply take 81 and you are able to score 1 out of 1. Isn't it easy? Give the binary number for the ASCII denary number for N, capital N. And you can see 78 is the denary given to you. You simply need to find out the binary for 78. And for this, working space is supposed to be needed. Just for the purpose of making you understand what is done here is, you can see for yourself that we have actually done this for you people to comprehend that this is what you need to see. You need to write it down. And which bit should be turned on? You can see 64 and 8 and 4 and 2. You add them up. 64 plus 10 is 74 and 4 is 78 because what I did was 8 plus 2 was 10. That's why I very quickly did this. And in this manner, you can see for yourself that your answer is this correct one, is the correct one. But you write down the answer here and you show the working here. Please do not forget to use this working space in your answer. Okay? Understood? Any questions? Okay, so quickly you have scored the marks. Now, question number 1, part 3. Explain how the word red is represented using a character set. Now, see, there are 3 letters, R-E-D. So, how will it be done? So, just a 2 more question is given to you. What you need to write down is mentioned here in the marking key, but still you can think of your own also. Unique binary, denary number given stored for each character. You can see for yourself that R, E, and D, each one will have a different ASCII value, will have different ASCII denary value, and its equivalent binary will be stored. And remember, the storage is always going to be in a sequence. First, the letter R, then the letter A, E, and then lastly the letter D. They will all be stored in a sequence. So that is also very important. So it's not just a matter of the equivalent ASCII values, but the values are stored in a sequence. Important thing is the storage is in a sequence. So this is how you can easily score 2 out of 2. If you have paid attention that they want you to explain how this word red is represented using a character set. So answering with the RED only, talking about the ASCII values only, will not be sufficient. We need to talk about the storage in the form of sequence in order to gain the next point. Part C. Sound can be represented as binary. Explain why recording with a higher sampling resolution creates a more accurate recording. Now see, it's very simple. Now, since you know, if you are increasing the sampling resolution, then definitely the recordings will be more accurate. It's a 2-mark question. More bits allocated to each amplitude. Amplitudes can be more precise, or amplitudes are closer to the original. A wider range of amplitudes can be recorded, because when you are increasing the sampling resolution, then definitely it results in any of these points, and you can score 2 out of 2 if you write down any of these points, and definitely you can write it in your words, Adi. But this is what you need to cover. Okay. Give one other way that the accuracy of sound recording can be improved. So since sampling resolution is already discussed, so definitely increasing the sampling rate. And you simply talk about sampling resolution already. I mean, that is what you will think about. Sampling resolution discussed means sample rate is only left. So once the user is increasing the sample rate, it means that definitely the accuracy of sound recording will be better. It will be improved. Any questions? Okay, question number 2. A computer has a CPU. The CPU includes the registers: program counter, PC, memory address register, MAR, memory data register, MDR, accumulator, ACC, current instruction register, CIR. I mean, this is what you already know. The table contains 5 statements about the role of registers in the fetch, decode, execute cycle of a CPU. Now you can see for yourself, there are different letters, and letter A is PC stores address of the next instruction to be accessed. Letter B is representing MAR, stores in the instruction of the program that is running. MDR, for part C, MDR stores the data passed to it from the PC. Now part D is ACC stores the result of each calculation. Part E is CIR stores the instruction currently being executed. Now just what does this see? 2 of the statements are not correct. Now before we proceed to this, let's see for yourself. Identify the letter for each incorrect statement, and you have to write down, you have to tell what is the correct statement that you think is to be written there. Now just move very quickly. What do you think? What seems to be something that is incorrect completely? Now talking about, let's see, the one that we talk about, PC stores the address of the next instruction. It means that this is correct. And part E also, CIR stores the instruction currently being executed. That's also correct, you know. And ACC stores the result of each calculation. That is also very clearly correct. So it means parts B and C seem to be incorrect. Now, what is the problem? Let's see. MAR stores the instructions of the program that is running, and MDR stores the data passed to it from the PC. Now, what is the problem? Statement B identified correctly that data has a problem, and what the problem is, MAR stores addresses and not instructions. So you need to remember, this is what we have been talking about repeatedly, and this is what I hope that many of us remember also, that MAR, in this A is for address. And that is why MAR stores addresses and not instructions. So this is a mistake. If this one is wrong, the instruction word is incorrect. That's why this is the correct answer. So you have mentioned MAR stores addresses and not instructions, or a student can write MAR stores one address and not all addresses. So this is how you can score marks. Moving on to statement C, we have identified MDR stores the data passed to it from the PC. So remember, data is passed from bus, via the bus, or data is from address in MER and not PC. So this is how you have identified the, first of all, the errors. Now this one is correct, this one is correct, part A is correct, point C is correct, and point D is correct, point E are correct is correct also. And the problem is in point letter B and C. So this is how you can identify the errors. You write down the incorrect statement location and you write down what is the correct statement. And in this manner, you can easily score your marks. Yes, agreed, Ali. This is a little, you need to work on it. You need to remember the basic things so that you are able to score. Just need a little practice, that's all. Not difficult, just need a little practice and you'll be through, inshallah. And let's move on to the next question. It was a 4-mark question, exactly. For each line you are going to score 1 mark. Statement in the statement identification is of 2 marks, and the corrected statement is going to carry 2 marks. In this manner, 4 marks are yours. And now part B. The computer has a single core 3.5 gigahertz processor and an 8K kilobytes cache. State what is meant by 3.5 gigahertz processor. Now here they just want you to just tell that what do you mean by this. Now, what does 3.5 gigahertz processor mean? It can run 3.5 billion fetch execute cycle each second, or a student can say it can execute 3.5 billion instructions each second per second. So this is what the meaning of gigahertz is. So you just simply identify the term gigahertz, you tell that what does it mean, and then you are able to score 1 out of 1. Not difficult, isn't it? CPU is changed to a dual-core 3.5 gigahertz processor. Explain how the number of cores affects the performance of a CPU. Now, just see, remember that this is what we have been talking about, factors affecting the CPU performance. That is a very important topic. And you can see, this is how it is coming in the paper. In different styles, they're asking us. So any 2 from, you can see it's a 2-mark question. 1 core can run 1 fetch execute cycle instructions per each second, so it means 2 or more. You can say 2 or maybe more cores can run 2 or maybe more examples, as you can see, a dual core or a quad core. So you can talk about a quad core also. So the moment you are increasing the cores, definitely that may result in improving the performance also, because of more fetch execute cycle instructions are going to be processed at the same time. So if you talk about more cores, means definitely more instructions are going to be executed each second. So simply that's what they have tricked you by just using the word affects. Then you need to just figure out very correctly, identified by Ali, that you need to figure out that actually is it improving the performance or is it going to decline the performance? So here you have to talk about that actually more if you have more cores, it definitely results in improving the performance of the CPU. Okay. The amount of cache is increased to 64 kilobytes. Explain how the amount of cache affects the performance of a computer. First, they talked about core, and now they're asking about the use of cache. If you have increased the cache, what is the effect? Any 2 from, it's a 2-mark question. Now remember, cache stores frequently used instructions. The instructions that you need to be used quite often, they are normally stored in cache. So it means if you have more cache, means the processor can access more data faster. Instead of you, like for example, In order to access the data, either we have RAM or we use cache. So definitely cache is a little faster as compared to RAM size. So please remember that in order to improve the performance, if we have increased the cache, it will definitely improve the performance of the computer because accessing data from RAM is going to take a little longer as compared to accessing the data from cache. So just explain in your own words, you know very well that cache is always the faster area as compared to RAM size. Okay, RAM is comparatively slower and cache is comparatively faster. Now, the computer has both primary and secondary storage. RAM is one example of primary storage. Describe what is meant by RAM. So it's so simple. It's a 2-mark question. So what is it actually? What is RAM? What RAM is to store the data that is temporarily stored. Let's say it's volatile storage. It stores data for the processor to access directly access directly or quickly, and or you can say whatever is stored in RAM is accessed directly by the computer system or by the CPU. It stores currently running data and or instructions. So you talk about RAM, we talk about it is there to store the data or the instructions. It is there to store the currently open programs. It is there to store the part of the operating system in use. It's a volatile storage. This all is going to give you 2 marks. But be cautious that you are mentioning the data in a sequence. The answer should come in a sequence so that you are able to score. Okay, now just one more reminder. If you remember, we have talked about RAMs. RAM has another name. Can you recall that term? Yes, who can recall the term? There's one more word that we have learned, that alternate word for RAM. Excellent, Adi. It's IAS, Immediate Access Store. So this is what you need to remember, that actually, okay, now let me write it for you so that you can remember. Another name for RAM is IAS. That is Immediate Access Store. So you need to remember, like this can come in the paper also. So this is what you need to know and remember, that IAS is another word for RAM. Okay? Immediate Access Store. Okay. Now another one, part 2 of this C part. Read-only memory is another example of primary storage. ROM often stores the startup instructions for a computer. Identify one other item of data that is commonly stored in ROM. So it can store firmware, it can store parts of the operating system, it can store programs, for example, and just remember to mention it is there to store the program in case of an embedded system. So in this manner, you can score 1 out of 1. Now, another one is some computers make use of virtual memory. State the purpose of virtual memory. Why do we need the virtual memory? So I think this is what we all know now very well. To run program, there is insufficient, for example, to run programs in case there is insufficient RAM to run. Or you can say to allow RAM to store more data when required. So remember, with the virtual memory, what happens is the computer is able to work a little, definitely help. The RAM is helped by the virtual memory. The data is going to be stored in virtual memory. If there's more data to be stored and RAM has lesser capacity, so in case virtual memory comes as a very helpful place, so that the data can be accessed a little faster in case the virtual memory is being used, as compared to no virtual memory being there. So just remember here it says the word state. That's why simply write it down, and there is no need to explain in detail. Now, question number 3. A computer has an operating system. Complete the table by writing each missing OS function name and description. Now here, first one, function name is managing memory. So as the name itself implies, managing memory means what? Allocates memory to processes. Different processes are running concurrently. So it is going to allocate memory to different processes that are running, so that no two processes are ever going to access the same memory. It will prevent the memory, you can say, a lot of sort of memory conflict, so that every single application will run in its own memory area. So you explain in your own words, but your words should actually be talking about the main terms, like allocating the memory to different processes, which are so that they can run concurrently, so that it is not going to it is going to prevent two processes which are trying to access the same memory, which should result in some conflicts to occur. So if you write it down in your own words properly, then definitely you will be able to score. Now, allows application software to run on the computer is given to you, and which function name is platform for running applications. So simple. Now, third one is managing peripherals, and you are asked to explain what does it mean, peripherals? Exactly. The different hardware components are considered to be peripherals. Just for you people, that's I guess enough. And for example, allocates data to buffers, transmits data to hardware, receives data from hardware. So that is what is the meaning of the word managing peripherals. So as I talked about for you, like basically peripherals means the computer system hardware components. So managing peripherals means you can transmit the data to hardware, you can receive data from hardware that is also managed by the operating system. And this is the feature of operating system that is helpful in a lot of tasks. Allocating data to buffers, exactly. So this is how you can score 3 out of 3 if you have understood and written the correct terminologies or if you explained it properly. Now, the OS handles interrupts. State the purpose of an interrupt, and you can see the purpose is to indicate that something requires attention of the processor. So simple. Now remember, it's not always the problem. Sometimes the interrupt is only generated to get the attention of the processor. That's all. Identify one input device and one example of an interrupt that it can generate. One input device and one interrupt. For example, keyboard. Keyboard is an input device that is generating the interrupt. And when is it when is it can say what kind of interrupt it generates? It's when the key is pressed. So the moment you press a key on the keyboard, and the interrupt is generated to get the attention of the processor. Similarly, mouse, when mouse is clicked, when mouse button is clicked, or when mouse is moved, the way, for example, if I'm using the mouse at the moment, that is going to be generating an interrupt for my operating system, for my computer system. Okay? And the interrupt will be generated, getting the attention of the processor, then telling the processor, please answer my request. The moment I press a key from the keyboard, again, it is going to talk about the same interrupt generation, talking about getting the attention of the processor. So if you have mentioned any one input device properly and defined it, you are going to score 1 mark. A processor is currently executing a program. The processor receives an interrupt. Explain how the processor manages the current program and the interrupt. See, you are running, the program is running, and the processor was you can say, processing your requests. And in the meantime, an interrupt came. An interrupt was received. So how the processor will manage the current program and the interrupt? So recall what we have learned. What it will do is, first of all, processor finishes the current FE cycle for the program, whatever it's running. Processor checks the interrupt priority queue. It means if some interrupts need immediate attention, or some interrupts can be the delayed one. Like remember, we have talked about them. See, remember, we have talked about maskable and non-maskable. So here, which interrupt needs immediate attention? In case the interrupt needs immediate attention, it means it will be handled immediately. Processor stores current process and stack. Processor calls ISR for interrupt. You can recall interrupt service routine. An ISR resolves the interrupt. Processor retrieves content of the stack to continue with process from the program. So in this manner, the stages that we have talked about, this is just an example, but you can write it in your own words. And remember, here you have explained. We'll talk about all these 5 stages. First of all, the same manner. It will first of all finish its own work. Then it will see that what is the priority of the interrupt that is being generated. Then it will actually store the current task in a stack to be accessed later. Then it will be asking the ISR for the routine to, it will be asking interrupt service routine, and then the ISR will be resolving the interrupt, and then it will be retrieving the previous task from the stack to start working on it. So in this manner, you can easily score 5 out of 5. Not a difficult thing at all, isn't it? Yes? Just remember that how to answer. A student enters a uniform resource locator URL into the web browser. Draw and annotate a diagram to show the process from the user entering the URL to the web browser displaying the web page. So just remember, we have talked about something similar. Yes, exactly. These are the 5 stages that students are supposed to mention in their diagram. And just remember, URL is going to be sent to the from the browser to the DNS domain name server, domain name system. There are two expanded forms. DNS is going to actually DNS has a table or it has a database that is containing the URLs and the equivalent IPs. And if the DNS is able to find out the IP, that's wonderful. It will send the IP back to the browser. Browser is going to send the request to the IP. It's going to send the request to IP of the web server. And web server will first of all see the request. It will process the request, and once it is able to process, then the two-way communication will begin. So this is what you need to cover. Just a diagram, just an example diagram. You can make your own also. Student's computer is going to send the URL in the first stage. The URL is received by the DNS. It will be locating its equivalent IP. You can see for yourself. This is what you need to remember and you need to follow. What is the first stage is setting the URL. The second stage is finding the equivalent IP address, and that is the job of the DNS. Then you can see the third stage is the IP sent back to the computer system, and then the IP is going to be sent. Now, once it has received the IP, it will send the request to the web server. You can see the web server will process the request, and it will send the required HTML web page to the student's computer. This is what is followed in order to access the data from the web server. See, we do it so quickly, but in reality, it takes so many stages. So if you have any concern, then I suggest you that there's a video that is dealing with DNS, how DNS works. You can refer to it to make your concepts a little clearer. Okay. Yes, there's a video regarding DNS. There's chapter number 5 that we are studying, and its video is present. So please refer to it for your own benefit. Understood? Any questions? Okay, that's wonderful. Now, question number 5. Complete the description of digital currencies using the terms provided. Blockchains, changed, data chains, decentralized, deleted, encryption, passport, physical address, physically records, timestamp, traced, transaction chains, and virtually. A digital currency does not exist dash. It can only be accessed electronically. So definitely from here, physically is the most appropriate word. Some digital currencies have digital ledgers called blockchains. These are decentralized databases where each transaction is stored as a new set of data with a timestamp and is linked to the previous set of data. This means that transactions cannot be altered, only new transactions added, which allows the location of the data to be traced. So in this manner, if you have figured out the right 4 terms and you filled them properly in your paragraph, then definitely you will be scoring 4 out of 4. Yes, exactly. Emma, you are correct. It needs a little caution so that you are able to get the right answer in a short duration of time. Like that all is to be dealt with a little bit with caution. Question number 6. A self-driving tractor sows seeds and harvests crops for a farmer. The self-driving tractor moves automatically through the field, turning at each end and stopping when it has finished. One reason the self-driving tractor is a robot is because it has a mechanical structure that includes wheels, an engine, and a framework. Give one other reason why the self-driving tractor is an example of a robot. Now, this is chapter number 6, as you can recall. And here, be cautious that they are talking about one thing, that it has a mechanical structure. Why it's called a robot? Just remember the characteristics. The characteristics that we have talked about of a robot, one of it is mentioned here. So what is left? You have to give one other reason. So it has electrical components, can be written by someone. Is programmable, can be written by someone. So this is going to give you 1 out of 1. So just again the same thing, just recall, remember, recall, and they're asking this question in one way or the other quite often. So this topic is again needing your attention when you're preparing for exam. Okay, understood? Now, part B. If person is detected within 3 meters while the tractor is moving, the self-driving tractor must stop. Explain how an infrared sensor, microprocessor, and actuator can be used to stop the self-driving tractor if a person is detected within 3 meters. Now, this is what the question is, and it's a 5 marks. So what will you do here then? Now, that's wonderful. Just remember that we have already talked about the working of the sensors. So just see the sequence that you need to follow. Sensor continuously sends the digitized value or reading distance to the microprocessor. So here you can see, although they have not mentioned the word ADC, but definitely you can see for yourself that actually here the word digitized means that they are talking about definitely the conversion of analog data to digital form. So here you can eliminate the use of the word ADC at the moment. You can see the sensor are going to constantly send the digitized value to the processor. Microprocessor compares the digitized data to the stored reference of a person and distance of 3 meters. Now, this is supposed to be mentioned. Just to get a very good answer, just take the point from the question. So here they mentioned 3 meters. So it means this is what your reference is. So microprocessor will compare the value that is sent to it, the signal that it has received with the preset value of 3 meters. So if you have mentioned, that's awesome. If the data or signal is less than or equal to a person and within the 3 meters range, then a signal is sent to the actuator to make the tractor stop. You can see the role of actuator is to make the tractor stop. Now, this is very important. Or maybe to apply the brakes. Definitely applying the brakes is going to stop the tractor. If the data or signal is greater than 3 meters, so no action is taken. Now, this is what you need to mention because there they have mentioned the use of infrared sensor, and this is what you can see. Infrared sensor is there, and you can see this one is mentioned here, and processor and the actuator. So here, actuator is definitely already mentioned. So you just here need to talk about the work the actuator is supposed to do. So the actuator is going to make the tractor stop, or as you can say, it is going to apply the brakes, and definitely these both will result in stopping the tractor. Now, if the data signal is greater than 3 meters, no action is taken. The whole process repeats constantly until turned off. This is very, very important. By the way, can you recall one term for that? Is feedback. That's wonderful, Ali. So this is also going to, as you can see for yourself, if you have mentioned these any 5 points, then definitely 5 marks are going to be yours. Remember to underline the keywords so that you are able to get the concept clearer and you are able to score the marks. Okay? Identify one other sensor that the self-driving tractor might use and how it will use the sensor. So sensor and the use. So first of all, you need to go for the sensor first, identify the sensor first, and then its application. So there's different sensors mentioned here, accelerometer to adjust for even ground or to detect if the motor crashes. Similarly, another student can write proximity sensor. And what is it supposed to do? To detect if near the end of the field or to detect any of the obstacles. And thirdly, another third student can write light sensor to identify when to turn the headlights on. So this is how, just by identifying any one sensor apart from infrared, please remember infrared is mentioned already. So if you write infrared here, you will gain no mark. Thanks once again, Ali, for asking this question to clear the ambiguity of others if they have this in their mind. If a student writes infrared sensor, then definitely he will score a 0 because the infrared sensor is already mentioned here. That's the reason. Now, explain the drawbacks of a farmer using a self-driving tractor to sow seeds and harvest crops. So how will I know actually? Just see, it's a 3-mark question means I have to write down 3 valid points. Now, just remember, farmer, for what are the drawbacks? Something general, which we have discussed, and you can see for yourself here, just connected with this farmer. Initial cost may be high, maintenance cost may be high, farmer may need reskilling in on how to use it because he needs to learn, and definitely this could be costly as well. Farmer may need fewer employees, leading to unemployment. It can malfunction, yes, correctly identified early, and not recognize a person and fails to stop because it's a machine. It can malfunction, and once it malfunctions, then it may not do the work as per your requirement. So if you have identified the 3 drawbacks properly, you have written them here, it means 3 marks are yours. Easy? Yes, exactly. Part E. The self-driving tractor has an inbuilt expert system that the farmer can use to solve any errors with the tractor. Identify 3 components of an expert system. Now just remember, you are just asked to mention any 3 components: knowledge base, rule base, inference engine. Wonderful. But if a student has mentioned apart from these 3, like maybe he can recall knowledge base, rule base, and interface, that's perfectly okay as well. So it's just mentioned here so that you can remember that there are 4 components mainly. You can be asked to explain or you can be asked to identify. So just you need to know all the 4 components. So if the question comes in the paper, you should be able to answer. Knowledge base, rule base, inference engine, and interface. Okay? Now, the next part. At the end of each day, the self-driving tractor transmits the data that it has collected to the farmer's computer in their house. The transmission uses an echo check. Describe the role of self-driving tractor in the farmer's computer in the echo check. Now here, the question is actually dealing with the echo check. You just need to explain how it happens. Now, it's a 3-mark question. Data is transmitted from tractor to computer. The same data is transmitted back from computer to tractor. Tractor compares both sets of data to see if they are identical. Tractor sends data confirmation of accuracy the same or the data or messages if error. Now just remember, we have talked about echo check, that it's the set of data transmitted from sender to receiver and vice versa. So here, instead of press sender or receiver, you need to mention the role of tractors and computers. That is the chain that you can see has to be incorporated here. They say tractor and the farmer's computer. So here you need to see that here the senders and receivers are supposed to be mentioned properly. So you will not simply say sender receiver because we have learned that's why no, be cautious. Here you have to use the with respect to this also. Understood? The same echo check, asked differently, be cautious, and this is then you will be able to score. Not difficult thing at all. Okay. Another method of error checking is a parity block. You remember, yes, exactly. By the way, what is the problem with parity? Just asking. I'm talking about the parity byte, not parity block. Yes, exactly. Parity byte. If the 2 bits have swapped their positions, then parity in parity bit, the problem is never identified. So then what comes to my rescue is a parity block. So here you can see the table shows 7 bytes that are transmitted using odd parity. Now pay attention to the word odd parity. The parity has been completed for each byte. Now what are we supposed to do is complete the parity byte. Now what did we do? We simply identified the error we simply identified the parity by using, you can see for yourself, the word odd parity is being used here, be cautious. So what we did is we first of all started from this position and we bit 1. And this was already completed. So this parity byte was supposed to be completed. So what we did is 1, 2, 3 means odd parity used 0 here. Bit number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have included a 1 here because in order to make it, the number of bits should be an odd number. So it was containing 4 on bits, that's why an addition of 1 is stated here. I hope we all know it, isn't it? Okay, now let's do it together. Here, bit 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It means it is going to be a 0. Now, what I suggest you is, okay, now let me do it myself so that you will be definitely following the same. It's basically you underline, but you will remember it's odd parity, and then you can see for yourself 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 0, because there are 5. Okay, in this 1, 2, 3, that is why a 0 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, it means it is going to be a 1 here. You can see for yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4. So definitely it means it will be addition of a 1 here. Here 1, it will be a 0. 1, again a 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It means again a 0 because there are 5 bits which are on. Here 1, 2, 3, 4. It means it will be addition of a 1 here. So this is how you got. Now here I've just mentioned it. And please do, you can do it just orally also. There's no need to mention just to make you comprehend. I've done it. Just count the number of bits, on bits, write them down, and eventually you'll be able to figure out. And do not forget to underline this here so that you will remember which parity is supposed to be used. Okay? Understood? Any questions? And we have actually recalled this also. The problem with parity bit is if 2 bits have swapped their positions or transposition error, then this is never detected by the parity bit. Yes, correct. Will we move ahead? Okay, that's wonderful. Question number 7. Data is transmitted using the internet. The data is encrypted before transmission. State the purpose of encrypting the data. So why do we encrypt the data actually? If the data is intercepted, it cannot be understood. Now they're asking why do we encrypt the data? Simple concept is we are doing it just to make sure that the data will, if intercepted by the hackers, it will not be understood by the hackers at all. Describe the differences between symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Now, just to recall, it's basically a 4-mark question. So you have to write down 4 valid points. Symmetric has a shared key, which is the public key. The same key is used to encrypt and decrypt the message. Asymmetric has a public key to encrypt the data and another private key to decrypt the data. And anyone can know the public key to encrypt, but only those intended know the private key to decrypt. Now, this is what is the basic difference. Symmetric has public key, which is a shared one, it can be accessed by the hackers because the same key is used for encrypting and decrypting. So if it's accessed, he can decrypt the message also. But on the contrary, asymmetric is more secure because although if the public key is there, but the actual content is understood using the private key, and that private key is only known to the person who has generated. So it is going to definitely make your data more secure. So this is how you will remember. Fine. The data is transmitted using packet switching. Identify 2 items of packet data contained in a packet header. See, so simple. They have been asking this question quite often, and we have learned it. Destination IP address and the sender IP address. And another two, we can write packet number also. So in this manner, you can gain 2 out of 2. Give the purpose of router in the packet switching process. Now, it's a 1-mark question, so simple. It is router, what are they doing actually? Routers are there to control the route the packet is going to take or send each packet towards its destination. And you already know that our router is there just to send the data through that channel, through that route, which is least occupied. This is what we have been discussing quite often. Okay, so in this manner, you just write down the purpose of a router, you are able to score 1 out of 1. Not difficult at all, isn't it? Yes, exactly. Question number 8. Hexadecimal system can be used to represent binary numbers. Convert the denary number 236 into hexadecimal. Now, what is done? Now, just remember again, I'm telling you repeatedly, working space. What we did is we simply converted the value from denary to hexadecimal by finding out the equivalent binary value. See? And the first stage is to convert hexadecimal to convert, like let me tell you once again. Stage number one, denary to binary. Okay, the first stage. And once we are done with the binary, then what we did is we have converted, this is our first stage, simply found the binary for 236. 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 8 plus 4 is going to give you this 236. Then from there, what you do is you convert it into base 16 or hexadecimal just by making a group of 4 bits and 4 bits here. And you know it's 842 is E, which is 14, and 1, 8 and 4 is 12. So in this manner, EC. And remember the placement is EC. If a student writes CE, that will be considered as a wrong answer. So just remember, this is another method, a simpler method. You simply convert the denary to binary, and then you convert the binary to hex value. Easy? Understood? Okay, that's great. Give one benefit of using hexadecimal instead of binary to represent data. See, it's again so simple. You can choose any one. Easier for humans to read or remember. It's shorter for humans to enter. Less likely for humans to make mistakes while they are entering the hex values. Easier for humans to spot errors. Takes up less space on screen. Now please remember, takes up less space on screen. Okay? Now we be very careful about it. Not on storage medium, but on screen only. Now this is how you can answer and you will score 1 out of 1. Part B. 2's complement can be used to represent positive and negative binary integers. Convert the 2's complement integer, this one, into binary. Now just look at the data. 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 111. You can see the moment you see this one here, what does it mean? It's minus 128. And by the way, exactly, that's wonderful. You write them down and you replace this 120 with minus 120. Do not forget to do it. Just place the values one like just in the proper position. 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And simply add them. The values which are turned on, just add the values like minus 128, plus 32, plus 16, plus 4, plus 2, and plus 1. And what you obtain is minus 73. Easy? Exactly, that's great. By the way, just a reminder, if this MSB contains a 1, it means it is a negative value. If the same MSB contains a 0, it means it is a positive integer. A positive denary value is there. Okay. Convert the denary number 45 into an 8-bit 2's complement number. This is what you need to see. See here, they've mentioned 45, and it's simple, a positive number. So what you will simply be doing is, you'll simply find out the binary of the normal value, 45. Don't get confused. They may confuse you by using the word 2's complement. And remember, 2's complement is only for storage of the signs. So signs are not stored normally. So we use 2's complement to store a sign value, which can be a positive integer or a negative integer. So here you can see simply 32 plus 8 plus 4 plus 1. So you can see 32 plus 12 plus 1 is going to be 45. Isn't it? Fine, so simple. Logical shifts are performed on binary integers. State the mathematical effect of a right shift of 4 places on a positive integer, binary integer. So just pay attention to the question. What are they asking? They are simply asking you to state the mathematical effect of right shift 4 places on a positive binary integer. So just pay attention. It's a 2-mark question. So what they want you to do is, first of all, effect of right shift, you know it's division, divide, and 4 places means divide by 16. So you just mention the values properly, you just mention the stages, and it's simply state. You don't have to explain it at all. Not even an example is needed. Yes, exactly, Ali. You just need to mention right shift means division. And since it is 4 places, means it is going to be divided by 16. But we just recall, you can say recalling revision. Right shift means division and left shift means multiplication. That's wonderful. One shift means, right shift means divide by 2. Great. Two right shift means divided by 4. That's wonderful. Three right shift means divided by not 6. It will be divided by 8. And 4 right shift means divided by 16. Just asking if there were 5 shifts, then what does it mean? Divided by 32 exactly. So similarly, you need to remember the left shift and the right shift. They can ask in different styles. So everything is there in the syllabus. You need to understand, remember each and everything, and then read the question and then answer it properly. Now, Jazakallah khair Kasira for being a part of the learning journey. Hope that you have understood each and everything. If you have liked my video, please subscribe the channel, share with your friends and family so that they all are going to benefit from it. Allah Hafiz.